The main ideas from the best books in 30 minutes. Good to Great. Author, Jim Collins. Great is not the enemy of good. Good is. This book is one of the most well-known studies of why some companies make the leap to outstanding results, while others stay simply okay. Collins wrote it as a large-scale research project, and he and his team spent years on it. He studied dozens of successful companies, hundreds of leaders, and a massive body of articles, collecting piece by piece an answer to one question. How do you build a great business and become a leader who can deliver exceptional results? Here is the key point. We rarely get great because good is comfortable. It's easy to live a normal life. It's easy to be quite successful. And that's exactly why most companies never become great. They reach the level of good and get stuck there. Great companies don't exist only to generate profit. Profit and cash flow are like blood and water in a healthy body. Absolutely necessary, but not the meaning of life. Great achievements don't come from one heroic push. They come from a series of good, correct decisions, done consistently, where each one grows out of the previous one. Level 5 leaders. Collins argues that one of the key reasons for success is the person leading the company. He describes 5 levels of leadership. Level 1 is the highly capable individual. Strong skills, knowledge, experience, and the ability to do high-quality work. Level 2 is the contributing team member, someone who adds to group goals and works effectively with others. Level 3 is the competent manager, organizes people and allocates resources rationally. Level 4 is the effective leader, builds a clear vision of the future and drives the company along that path. And Level 5 is the executive who produces exceptional results and has distinct personal qualities. And it matters. Each higher level includes the qualities of the levels below it. What sets Level 5 leaders apart? Their main focus is the company's success. First the work, then personal ambition. They care about the company being even stronger in the future, even if no one remembers whose efforts were the foundation of that success. One Level 5 leader said, "I'd like to sit on my porch someday, look at one of the greatest companies in the world, and say, I work there." These leaders rarely talk about themselves. And it's not performative modesty. People who worked with them describe them with words like calm, simple, reserved, unassuming. But behind that outward simplicity is a hard inner resolve to do what must be done for the company to become great. This is where the famous window and mirror concept comes in. When things go well, a Level 5 leader looks out the window and attributes success to external factors, to the team, to circumstances, sometimes even to luck. But when it's time to talk about mistakes, they look in the mirror and take responsibility. Ordinary leaders often do the opposite. They take credit for success and look for someone else to blame for failure. Ask yourself, how often do you explain your own mistakes by pointing to external forces? First who, then what? Leaders of great companies didn't start with, where are we going, and then hire people for that direction. They did the reverse. First, they made sure the right people were on the bus and in the right seats, and the wrong people were off the bus. Only then did they decide where to drive it. The logic is simple. If the team is strong and assembled correctly, it will find its way to the place where things work. For these companies, the main engine of growth is not the market, not technology, not competition, and not products. The most important factor is the ability to find and keep the right people. Keeping people whose abilities don't meet the demands is unfair to strong employees. They have to cover for someone else's work. And then the best people start leaving. Good workers are motivated by success, but when their effort gets canceled out by constantly fixing other people's failures, they quickly lose heart. Another key task is to create an environment where people can tell the truth, where opinions can be voiced openly and heard. Collins describes 4 principles that support such an environment. Lead with questions, not answers. Engage in dialogue and debate, but don't turn it into conflict. Discuss mistakes, but don't assign blame. Turn simple information into information that is hard to ignore. And another point, trying to create motivation is often a waste of time. The real question is not how to motivate people, but how to remove demotivators. If you hire the right people, motivation is already there. One of the quickest roads to demotivation is ignoring the facts. Admiral Stockdale and his paradox. Collins tells the story of Admiral Jim Stockdale, the highest-ranking American POW in the Hanoi Hilton during the Vietnam War. He was tortured more than 20 times over 8 years, from 1965 to 1973. He had none of the rights of a prisoner of war. He didn't know when he would be released, and he didn't know if he would ever see his family again. But he remained the leader and did everything he could to keep others from breaking and from being used as propaganda. He took extreme measures. Once, he struck himself with a stool and cut himself with a razor, deliberately disfiguring his face so he couldn't be filmed as an example of a prisoner who was treated well. In letters to his wife, he passed secret intelligence, knowing that if it was discovered, he would be tortured again and possibly killed. He invented methods to help people endure torture, a step-by-step system. After X minutes you tell a little, then a little more, so soldiers had markers to hold on to. He organized a way to communicate that reduced isolation, a real Morse code system using knocks. And once, when there was supposed to be silence, prisoners filled the barracks with knocking, tapping out, "We love you," to Stockdale, marking the 3rd anniversary of the day he was shot down. From this, Collins draws this Stockdale paradox. Keep faith that you will prevail, no matter how hard it gets, and at the same time face the brutal facts, no matter how brutal they are. Foxes and hedgehogs. Collins uses an image from Isaiah Berlin's essay The Hedgehog and the Fox, based on an ancient Greek saying. The fox knows many things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing. The fox is fast, clever, inventive. It can come up with a million complex strategies to attack the hedgehog. Day after day it circles the burrow, waits, and looks for the perfect moment. The hedgehog looks clumsy, almost comical, like a mix of a porcupine and an armadillo. It just wanders through the forest looking for food. But when the fox attacks, the hedgehog does one simple thing. It curls into a ball of spikes. And the fox backs off. It happens again and again, and in this story the hedgehog wins. Not because it's more cunning, but because it has one clear, powerful strategy. Collins says, the builders of great companies were, to some degree, hedgehogs. And he introduces the hedgehog concept, a simple, crystal-clear idea at the intersection of 3 circles, answering 3 questions. What can you be the best in the world at? What drives your economic engine? What are you deeply passionate about? For the concept to work, all 3 answers must align. If you make a lot of money doing something you can never be the best at, you can build a successful company, but not a great one. If you're the best at something but feel no deep passion for it, you won't stay at the top. And if you love what you do but you're not the best, and there's no economic logic to it, you may enjoy the work, but you likely won't achieve outstanding results. It's important to see the difference. The hedgehog concept is not a goal to become the best, and not a slogan like, "Let's be the best." It's an understanding of what you realistically can be the best at. To move from good to great takes courage, to admit, we do this well, we make money, we grow, but that doesn't mean we can become the best at it. If you keep doing what you're simply good at, you'll get simply good results. Great results begin when you focus on what you can do better than any other organization. And one more point. Leaders of great companies didn't try to artificially turn on passion. They went the other way. They did what genuinely excited them. For example, the leaders of Kimberly-Clark, a paper company, moved into consumer products in part because they found it exciting. One of them said, "Traditional paper products are fine, but they don't have the charm of a diaper." The main thing is to understand where your organization can be the best in the world. And just as important, where it cannot be the best, even if you want it to be. Anti-bureaucracy and self-discipline. Collins shows, bureaucracy appears where competence and discipline are lacking. If you choose people well from the start, the problem shrinks. But many companies build heavy bureaucracy to control a small percentage of the wrong people. The best employees then leave. The share of mediocre employees grows. And bureaucracy has to grow again, to compensate for low competence and low discipline. The cycle repeats. Companies with outstanding results created consistent systems with clear constraints, and at the same time, gave people freedom and responsibility within those constraints. They hired disciplined people who didn't need constant supervision and focused on managing the system, not micromanaging individuals. Transformation doesn't begin with teaching discipline to undisciplined people. It begins with hiring people who already have self-discipline. And another important point, outstanding companies would sooner die from a surplus of opportunities than from a lack of them. Collins gives a large example to show what discipline and a lack of class divisions look like inside a company, and what the opposite looks like. He describes Nucor. The company grew to about $3.5 billion in revenue and made the Fortune 500, while having only 4 management layers and just 25 people at headquarters, including top leadership, finance, and secretaries. The office was the size of a dentist's room. The furniture was simple plywood. Executives hosted important guests not in a corporate dining room, but at a small diner across the street. Executive perks were not higher than workers, and sometimes were lower. For example, every worker could receive $2,000 per year for 4 years to pay for each child's higher education. There was a case where a worker with 9 children asked if the company would pay for every one of them, and the answer was yes. He sat down and cried. At Nucor, when the year was profitable, everyone had a good year. When times were hard, everyone suffered, from top to bottom, but the top suffered more. During the 1982 downturn, workers' pay was cut by 25%, directors by 60%, and the CEOs by 75%. The company took extraordinary steps to erase class distinctions. The annual report listed the names of all 7,000 employees, not only managers and directors. Everyone wore the same color hard hat. Some executives wanted different colors as symbols of rank, but the message was clear. At Nucor, status is defined by leadership qualities, not by title. If you need class symbols, Nucor is not for you. In contrast, Collins describes Bethlehem Steel, a 21-story office complex for executives, extra spending even on architecture to create more corner offices. The corporate culture included planes, privileges, clubs, and social hierarchy. And the company's difficulties, as described, were not primarily about imports or technology, but also about a culture where too much time went into status games rather than customers, competitors, and external changes. Then come the numbers. From 1966 to 1999, Nucor ended every one of those 34 years with a profit, while Bethlehem had losses 12 times over the same period. Until the 1990s, Nucor's profitability exceeded Bethlehem's every single year. By the end of the century, Nucor, whose sales were less than 1/3 of Bethlehem's only 10 years earlier, surpassed Bethlehem in total sales. And Nucor's average 5-year profit per employee was almost 10 times higher than Bethlehem's. For an investor, $1 invested in Nucor produced a result more than 200 times better than $1 invested in Bethlehem. The conclusion is simple. Companies with outstanding results often look ordinary, even boring, from the outside. But when you look closer, you find people full of energy and dedication. Technology. Collins emphasizes, great companies actively used advanced technology. But the key was not technology itself, it was innovative use of carefully selected technologies. Used correctly, technology becomes an accelerator of growth, not its creator. Great companies did not begin transformation by installing new technology, because you can't truly use technology until you understand which technologies you actually need. He gives the Vietnam War as an example. The United States had the most advanced military in the world. Fighters, helicopters, modern weapons, computers, complex communications, miles of high-tech sensors along the border. But relying on technology created an illusion of invulnerability. The real problem was not technology, but the lack of a simple, consistent concept of how to fight the war, one that technology could support. The Americans jumped from one ineffective strategy to another. Meanwhile, the less technologically equipped North Vietnamese forces followed a simple concept, a war of attrition, methodically designed to wait until American public opinion turned against the war. And their simple tools, like the AK-47, which is more reliable and easier to maintain in the field than the complex M16, fit that concept perfectly. In the end, the U.S., despite technological superiority, did not succeed. The point is the same. Technology is an accelerator, not the reason for greatness. These companies became technology pioneers only when the technology matched their business concept. And how a company responds to technological change is a strong indicator. Great companies react thoughtfully and creatively, turning existing potential into results. Mediocre companies grab quick fixes out of fear of falling behind. And here is the question. In that war, who was the fox and who was the hedgehog? The flywheel, not the revolution. Those who achieve outstanding results are driven by an inner desire to create and improve for the sake of excellence itself. Those who settle for mediocre results are more often driven by fear of falling behind. And here is an important detail. From the outside, the move from good to great often looks like a sudden revolution. Inside the company, it looks like a natural, steady process. If you confuse the final outcome with the process, you miss what actually works over the long term. Collins uses the image of an egg. Until the shell cracks and a chick appears, no one pays attention. And when it happens, everyone writes. A revolutionary transformation. But from the inside, the chick was forming, growing, and developing step by step. Cracking the shell is a major step, but not overnight magic. That leads to the conclusion. Enormous power lies in the process of consistent, sequential improvement. When you show people real results, even small ones at first, and connect them to the overall concept of the business, people see the potential building and start supporting the change. Collins calls this the flywheel effect, and it matters both for investors and for the internal structure of the company. The 10 best ideas. 1. In great companies, money is not the goal. It's a tool. 2. Great companies always have strong leaders. 3. Level 5 leaders take responsibility for mistakes and don't brag about successes. The well-being of the company matters more to them than personal glory. 4. Great leaders don't try to make people disciplined and don't invent motivation. They hire disciplined, motivated people. 5. A company becomes great when 3 factors align. People do what they love. People do what they do better than others. Leadership uses the right economic model, one that makes money. 6. Technology can stimulate growth, but it does not make a company great by itself. 7. Great companies often look ordinary from the outside, but inside they are full of energetic people who are willing to work relentlessly for a shared success. 8. Outstanding results don't happen immediately, only through consistent improvement. 9. In great companies, leaders guide with questions, not ready-made answers. They promote dialogue and debate, not conflict. They discuss mistakes, but don't assign blame. 10. The main capital of great companies is people. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future books, and write in the comments which book we should break down next.